as down the glen one Easter morn to a city fair rode I. There are lines of marching men in squadrons pass me by. No pipe did hum nor battle drum did sound its loud tattoo, but the angelus bells o'er the leafy swells rang out in the foggy dew. Right proudly high in Dublin town hung they out the flag of war. 'Twas better to die 'neath an Irish sky than at Suva or Sodell bar. And from the plains of royal Meath strong men came hurrying through, while Britannia's Huns with their long-range guns sailed in through the foggy dew. Their bravest fell, and requiem bell rang mournfully and clear for those who died at Eastertide in the springing of the year. But the world did gaze with deep amaze at those fearless men, but few who bore the fight that freedom's light might shine through the foggy dew. And back through the glen I rode again, and my heart with grief was sore, for I parted then with valiant men whom I never shall see no more. But to and fro in my dreams I go, and I kneel and pray for you, for slavery fled, oh glorious dead. When you fell in the foggy dew.
Public na Héireann, the provisional government of the Irish Republic to the people of Ireland. Irish men and Irish women, in the name of God and of the dead generations from which she receives her old tradition of nationhood, Ireland, through us, summons our children to our flag and strikes for our freedom. Having organised and trained our manhood through our secret revolutionary organisation, the Irish Republican Brotherhood, and through our open military organisations, the Irish Volunteers and the Irish Citizen Army, having patiently perfected our discipline, Having resolutely waited for the right moment to reveal itself, she now seizes that moment and, supported by her exiled children in America and by gallant allies in Europe, but relying in the first on her own strength, she strikes in full confidence of victory. We declare the right of the people of Ireland to the ownership of Ireland and to the unfettered control of Irish destinies to be sovereign and indefeasible. The long usurpation of that right by a foreign people and government has not extinguished the right, nor can it ever be extinguished except by the destruction of the Irish people. In every generation, the Irish people have asserted their right to national freedom and sovereignty. 6 times during the past 300 years, they have asserted it in arms. Standing on that fundamental right, and again asserting their arms in the face of the world, we hereby proclaim the Irish Republic as a sovereign, independent state. And we pledge our lives and the lives of our comrades in arms to the cause of its freedom, of its welfare, and of its exaltation among the nations. The Irish Republic is entitled to and hereby claims the allegiance of every Irish man and Irish woman. The Republic guarantees religious and civil liberty, equal rights and equal opportunities to all its citizens, and declares its resolve to pursue the happiness and prosperity of the whole nation and of all its parts, cherishing all the children of the nation equally, and oblivious of the differences carefully fostered by an alien government, which have divided a minority from the majority in the past. Until our arms have brought the opportune moment for the establishment of a permanent national government representative of the whole people of Ireland and elected by the suffrages of all her men and women, the provisional government hereby constituted will administer the civil and military affairs of the Republic in trust for the people. We place the cause of the Irish Republic under the protection of the Most High God, whose blessing we invoke upon our arms, and we pray that no one who serves that cause will dishonour it by cowardice, inhumanity or rapine. In this supreme hour, the Irish nation must, by its valour and discipline, and by the readiness of its children to sacrifice themselves for the common good, prove itself worthy of the august destiny to which it is called. Signed on behalf of the Provisional Government, Thomas J. Clarke, Sean McDermott, Thomas McDonough, P.H. Pearce, Eamon Ceannt, James Connolly, Joseph Plunkett.
Run! Stop! Run! Left turn! Run! Stand easy.
Not mentioned in your clár, folks, but following the laying of all the wreaths, I will invite you to stand for a minute's silence in remembrance of all our association members who have passed away since 2019. I now invite Dublin City Lord Mayor Alison Gilliland to lay a wreath on behalf of the citizens of Dublin. Our 3 association members, Deirdre Colgan and family, Bronagh Ling and Larry Urell, will lay wreaths on behalf of the 1916 Relatives Association. The National President of Óglaigh Náisiúnta na hÉireann, Jimrit Higgins, will lay a wreath on behalf of the ONE. President of the Irish branch, the Italian Carbonari Association, Francesco Morelli, will lay a wreath on behalf of that association.
Fáilte, thank you. This year of the Civil War officially lasted 10 months, 3 weeks and 5 days. It's been described as a war of friends. The Civil War also divided families. For some years of bitterness followed, neither side had bathed themselves in glory. Throughout the spring and summer of 1922, the IRA campaign in the north ran with increased intensity. The acts of ambush, arson, assassination and sabotage destabilised areas, including the incursions on the border. Michael Collins was involved in the supply of military equipment, military arms to the IRA Northern Division, and he negotiated with IRA fighters to head north to aid the offensive. A division of the Munster IRA became active in the northern counties. Destabilising the Belfast government was disastrously counterproductive for the Catholic minority. Small-scale border incursions by the IRA sparked off prolonged bouts of reprisals and rioting in Belfast. This led to the death of over 200 people between February and May in Belfast alone. By May 1922, a civil war seemed more likely in Northern Ireland than in the south. There were other outside influences. The anti-treaty treaties viewed the British had no right in Ireland. Nothing but a straightforward road to an all-Irish republic would be acceptable, and no compromises. The pro-treaty side saw the treaty as a stepping stone. For the first time in 700 years, British soldiers and British administration would be removed from at least 26 of Ireland's counties. Dáil Éireann deputies voted on the treaty, and it was a close margin of 64 to 57. The pro-treaty side won. The treaty was ratified on the 7th of January 1922. Eamon de Valera resigned his position as president and was not re-elected. In March 1922, Eamon de Valera made several public appearances. He spoke of regret about the controversial speeches he made at the time. He stated, "If the treaty were accepted, the fight for freedom would still go on, and the Irish people, instead of fighting foreign soldiers, would have to fight their own soldiers." In Thurles, he added, "They would have to wade through the blood of the soldiers of the Irish and perhaps even members of the government." On the 6th of April 1922, City Cork Common and Maw ladies issued a new statement pledging their allegiance to the provisional government. They stated that their decision was to continue to recruit for their branch. They finished their statement by saying, "We were active members of Cumann na Mán during the last war, and we were not cowed by the black and tan methods. A renewal of these methods by an Irish or Anglo-Irish combination will not intimidate us." On the 14th of April 1922, 200 anti-treaty militants occupied the forecourts. The atrocities against civilians in the north had continued. In May, 75 people were killed in Belfast. In June, another 30. On the 17th of June, in a revenge attack for the killing of 2 civilians by Special Branch in South Armagh, an IRA unit shot 10 Protestants. 6 died and 3 B Specials were also killed in the attack. This attack was later debated, and it was felt that the attack and killings had strengthened the hand of the Unionists. On the 18th of June, the general election was held. The result was pro-treaty Sinn Féin 58 seats, anti-treaty Sinn Féin 36 seats. The failure to win a majority in the Dáil did not deter the anti-treatyists. On the 22nd of June, Field Marshal Henry Wilson, security advisor to James Craig, was assassinated in London. Winston Churchill wrongly blamed the anti-treaty side for the killing. An ultimatum was issued to Collins by the British: either he cleared the forecourts or they would. A document later found details a detailed plan of the British to take over Dublin on the 25th of June. This plan was withdrawn. It was believed because of fears that it might reunite the IRA factions. On the 28th of June, the National Army began bombarding the forecourts. On the 29th of June, buildings in O'Connell Street, Parnell, parts of Parnell Square and other central Dublin locations were occupied in an attempt to create a diversion from the forecourts. At 3:30 on the 30th of June, the forecourts garrison surrendered. 3 of the garrisons had been killed in the bombardment. The total number of people killed between June and July is reported to be 207 to 242. This includes civilian casualties. Hundreds of anti-treaty combatants were arrested. From November 22nd, the Free State government embarked on a policy of executing IRA prisoners as they sought to end the war. Many of those killed had previously been allies, and in some cases it was close friends who ordered their deaths. In addition, government troops had summarily executed prisoners in the field on several occasions. On the 8th of December, prisoner Rory O'Connor, Liam Mellows, Dick Barton and Joe McKelvett were executed. It was believed it was in reprisals for the assassination of Sean Hale TD and the wounding of Padraig O'Malley TD on Ormond Quay the day bore. On the 17th of December 1922, the last of the British forces left the Free State. Over the next few months, the fighting and arrests and executions continued unabated. The killing of innocent people and what some people labelled as spies was all part of this war. And the burning of homes and administration buildings, blowing up bridges, destroying railway bridges, this went on throughout the whole country. On the 23rd of March, at an anti-treaty IRA executive meeting, Tom Barry proposed a motion to end the war, but this motion was defeated by just one vote. With the death of Liam Lynch on the 10th of April, Frank Aikens took over the IRA as Chief of Staff. On the 30th of April, an order was issued to suspend military activities. This was followed on the 24th by an order to cease fire and dump arms. During the course of this war, 12,000 anti-treaty combatants were taken prisoner. 81 were listed as officially executed. The execution of prisoners left a lasting legacy of bitterness with many Irish people. There are still no precise figures for the death and wounded in the war. The pro-treaty side suffered between 800 and 1,000 fatalities from all causes. The Republican Roll of Honour, compiled in 1920s, listed 426 anti-treaty IRA volunteers killed between January 22 and April 24. However, in recent times, the suggestion is that the anti-treaty force death toll was higher. It's been put at around 2,000, and of which 300 to 400 are listed as civilians. In the aftermath of the war, there were still more deaths, and 2 prisoners died from hunger strike. The last of the Republican prisoners were released in July 1924. As an association, we come together to commemorate and celebrate the revolutionary periods and their participants, all with family on both sides of this civil war. I learned to understand and respect their different reasonings. Notably, there were never any what-ifs in their conversations of many years later. They just expressed sadness at the fact that the Civil War had happened. Thank you.